Welcome to Massive Late Fee. And now your hosts, Mark and Carol. Hello everyone, welcome back to Massive Late Fee. My name is Mark. With me as always is my girlfriend Carol. How you doing, Carol?
What's up?
It is April 16th, 1994, and we've got some news today. So, obviously, Kurt Cobain's death is still a big story. We didn't break that, but maybe we were the first place for you to hear it. But we talked about it last week. There was an interesting article in the LA Times that said Kurt Cobain, music legend or coward.
What?
Yeah, well, they talked about the struggles with addiction that he had, that he sort of took the quote-unquote easy way out by killing himself.
What an asshole. Who would write that?
Well, it had some interesting ideas about the psychological side of things, and whether suicide is a lot of people think that suicide is not a brave choice.
Well, I don't know that it's brave or not, but you shouldn't sit there and speak badly of someone who just died. And obviously, he was miserable. I mean, God knows what all he was dealing with in his life. And it's just...
Yeah, as we alluded to when we talked about Jack Kevorkian, some of you may already realize that my takes on this, but I'm not an advocate for suicide. I don't think that people should just kill themselves willy-nilly.
Well, of course.
But I'm not as judgy as some other people about suicide. Everyone has their own life, their own pain, their own experiences, and I think that you should be in charge of that, whether you want to keep going through that.
Yeah. I mean, you don't know until, and not to be cliche, but you don't know until you've walked in someone else's shoes.
Yep. So that article is certainly provocative, to say the least.
I'm so disgusted. Like, I want to drive to LA and beat up whoever wrote that article.
Well,
we're coming for you. What's his name?
Watch out, LA. I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
Okay.
If it's not Rich Dubrow, which it wasn't, I don't really remember their names that much. So, the music scene is changing a little bit. I guess we can talk about that. I don't know if this... Obviously, Kurt Cobain just died.
Right.
Last week. And it sounds weird to say, but I don't know if this would be going on. Well, I suppose it would be going on. I don't know if it would be successful. I think it has more of a chance to be successful without Kurt Cobain. A lot of people feel that grunge is dead. That grunge
died with him a week ago? What?
Yeah, yes.
That's ridiculous.
Well, that's what people think. That they were the Nirvana were the standard bearers for grunge music, and a lot of people think that it's being talked about that grunge is dead. I agree. I think it's a little overblown.
Elvis, was the king of rock, right? And,
sure.
I mean, it didn't just die when he retired from the rock scene.
It's difficult though. That's because rock changed so much. Like, Elvis became popular in the mid-50s, and then he died in 1977, in the summer of 1977, same year as the Son of Sam, and the New York Yankees won their first World Series under manager Billy Martin, with Reggie Jackson.
Same year that they were filming Star Wars.
Correct. Well, Star Wars came out that year.
Oh, it released that same year then?
Yeah, released in 77.
Okay.
So they were probably in May. So they were probably filming in 76 and some in 77.
Okay.
But anyway, so rock had changed a lot by the late 70s. So that's a hard comparison to make. I don't know if there's ever been a situation where one band is so clearly the face of a whole genre of music. But there are other bands out there.
Yeah.
There are other grunge bands out there. I don't know that anyone's going to be able to step up and be that face, though.
Why do we need a face?
I don't know. But anyway.
It's music.
The news is that, first of all, Pink Floyd is making a comeback.
I like Pink Floyd.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay, I guess. They're not what they were. And I worry that at their age, I mean, we're not going to see the Rolling Stones in 20 years still touring. That's ridiculous. But 70-year-old rockers. But, I mean, obviously Pink Floyd's not that old yet. But I just don't know. I worry about their age, the tumult that the band has been through over the years. I don't know that they're going to be able to have a successful tour that lives up to their what they were.
You can look at it all negative like that, or you can look at it as like a last chance to really, enjoy in person the music of Pink Floyd.
Go see The Wall.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm not a huge Pink Floyd fan, though, so that's probably part of it, too. There are a few songs of theirs that I like, but I never really got into that, like, acidy rock of the 60s.
Well, yeah,
Psychedelic.
I mean, we weren't alive then, but...
I mean, even, like, not even as a teen. I know the people that are our age that are into the psychedelic type rock, and I never went through a phase like that or got into it real.
Well, I'm not into it, but I can enjoy. I mean, I don't have to immerse myself entirely in something to enjoy and respect it.
Yeah, I suppose. Also, Tony Bennett was on MTV Unplugged.
What?
Yeah.
What is happening in the world?
That's what I'm saying. Kurt Cobain died and the music industry is going insane. But obviously this was planned before Kurt Cobain's suicide. But Tony Bennett, 67 years old, oddly popular with younger people for some reason. I like Frank Sinatra, as you know, and Dean Martin. Never really into Tony Bennett. But there are people that are, it's almost becoming nouveau hip for that kind of throwback crooner type thing. In certain small instances.
Well, now there's one I don't get, I guess, because I'm not into that at all.
But all reports was he was very good on MTV Unplugged. I don't know what he unplugged. His microphone.
Right? I mean, come on. Kurt Cobain was unplugged on MTV. You can't then put Tony Bennett there.
The last story that I have, this is all music and all music news because nothing else really happened, but all music news today. Brian Setzer, you may remember him from the 80s as one of the Stray Cats, the lead singer of the Stray Cats. You know the Stray Cat strut? You don't know that
really. One? Sounds vaguely familiar.
I don't bother chasing mice around. Whoa, no. We're going to get sued. I slink down the alley looking for a fight. How do the moonlight on a hot summer night?
No,
Singing the blues while the stray cats cry. No?
Nope.
Okay. Anyway, so he was in that band. He wants to start a new rockabilly, it's like a twist on rockabilly, with some big band swing thing. That's what he's trying to put together. He wants to put together an act which is, as you know, goes along with the Tony Bennett thing, sort of old big band swingy kind of thing. You know, when people used to wear the zoot suits and stuff like that. That is what Brian Setzer is looking to do. So I don't know how long that takes. How long it takes to put together an entire swing band. But check back with us in 1996, and we'll see if this swing thing has taken off at all. I highly doubt that people might like Tony Bennett on MTV Unplugged, but I highly doubt that they're going to go from Kurt Cobain and grunge in 2 years to swing dancing in clubs.
Right?
Seems ridiculous.
Hey, if it takes off, will you swing dance with me?
Yeah, I actually know how to swing dance. So
you do?
Yeah.
Wow. How did you learn that?
I took lessons in swing dancing.
Huh.
Last year.
Well, you'll have to teach me.
Anyway, so this, it can be fun. I don't know, maybe it will take off. But our TV picks of the week, I was going to watch Herman's Head, that show on Fox, and then I just kind of decided not to, like the rest of America, apparently. And so now we are doing 90210. We're gonna go back into Carol's running editions of Keeping Up with 90210. So what do you got, Carol?
So on this episode, it was actually a little deeper than some of the episodes that we've seen so far here. But it starts out with David learning to play the piano. Like he's all into rock, and you know.
Which one's David?
He is dating Donna.
Which one's Donna?
Tori Spelling.
Okay, Tori Spelling, daughter of famed producer Aaron Spelling from Charlie's Angels.
Right.
So, you know, no nepotism there. She's a great actress.
She's fine.
She's not a very good actress.
She's fine.
She was on Saved by the Bell, you know.
Yes.
She was Screech's girlfriend.
Yeah, Violet.
Yes. That's funny you remember that. But anyway, so, yeah, okay, so her boyfriend is the, Brian Austin Green? Is that his name? Okay. All right, continue.
Okay,
He's taking piano lessons.
Yeah, like, I guess he's majoring in, music. And,
helpful to play the piano.
His teacher told him to take lessons. So, he goes in to see this piano teacher, and it turns out she's blind, which he seems kind of weirded out by, but whatever. There's some chemistry that starts to happen there. And
yeah, because she can't see his face.
He's a nice-looking guy.
He's okay. He's no Ian Ziering.
Oh, God. For sure. So, anyways, she actually comes to the house another time, and they're playing the piano together, and it's kind of a funny scene, because in walks Kelly and Donna.
Mm-hmm.
And Kelly comes over and introduces herself.
That's Jenny Garth?
Yes.
And Tori Spelling?
Yes.
Okay.
Tori Spelling hangs back.
So everyone gets peroxide poisoning when the two of them walk in the room, right?
Stop being mean.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so anyway, she hangs back, and the lady actually has to ask, hey, didn't I hear somebody else come in? And he's like, oh yeah, that's my other roommate. Not my girlfriend, my other roommate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not introducing her as the girlfriend. That is bold.
So she was pretty offended. So in the backdrop of the episode, there's this whole, calendar thing going on where the girls are trying to raise money by getting the guys to pose in their underwear for a calendar. And
what are they trying to raise? $5? Come on. The only two that need to agree to this are Luke Perry and Jason Priestley.
Well, Dylan, Luke Perry's character, does not agree.
Yeah, I can't imagine that Luke Perry is too cool to agree to something like this.
But it's not just them. It's like a bunch of guys in the college. It's not just these particular guys.
Well, but that's who they're going to feature because that's the TV show.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, I mean, they're really hesitant. Originally Brandon doesn't agree to do it either.
Brandon is Jason Priestley?
Yeah.
Oh, man. You lost your moneymakers there. Everyone get the Ian Ziering calendar.
No, that's the thing, though. He wants to be in it.
Of course he does.
And they don't want him. He's like the B-list. They actually said that to him.
That is hilarious.
So, I mean, Brandon does agree. And they're all going to go film the thing. But in the meantime, before that, gotta back it back up. Brandon and Steve, Ian Ziering's character, are trying to, I don't remember where they were going, but the car breaks down. And they go into this coffee house to use the payphone. And it turns out to be a gay coffee house. And Brandon's fine. He's just like, hey, let's get a coffee. We're waiting for the tow truck, whatever.
Is that a thing? A gay coffee house?
Apparently.
I've heard of gay clubs, gay bars.
Right.
But a gay coffee house, I've never heard of that.
Gay people who don't want to get drunk have to have somewhere to go?
Yeah, I'm not. But yes, gay people should be able to go anywhere they want to go.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, like, why does it always have to involve alcohol? I like the idea of having, a place to go meet people.
I think it's more for socialization.
Yeah.
To meet other gay men.
Right.
Because, I mean, obviously, I'm not gay because we're together.
Obviously, yes.
But I would imagine that it would be difficult to be gay for many reasons. But one of the principal reasons, like let's say we lived in a magical world with no prejudice at all, it would still be kind of hard to be gay because how do you know who else is gay? If you're a guy, if you're a guy and you see a guy that's attractive, now we're together, so I wouldn't do this. But if I'm walking down the street and I see an attractive woman, I know I can hit on her. It could be that she's a lesbian, but she'll tell me right away. Statistically, I'll be okay hitting on her.
Well, you won't, because I'll hurt you. But...
you know what I mean.
I know.
But if I were a gay man and I saw an attractive man walking down the street, is he gay? How do I know? You have to. It's like a guessing game.
There's this gaydar thing people talk about. I mean.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, what sets that in motion?
What you're talking about here, though, kind of it feeds into what's happening next. So.
Okay.
Okay, so they're
Sorry.
it's okay.
Spoilers, everyone.
They're in the coffee house, and Steve sees the president of his fraternity. And the guy, like, he wasn't even going to acknowledge him, but then he saw him and he waved, and they're like talking at the table about, oh, hey, there's Steve. I had no idea. So they assume he is gay. And he comes over and he's like, hey, the car broke down. Like,
he's with another guy, too.
Yeah, and he's with another guy. He's like, I'm not gay. And like,
so a lot of gay panic going on.
Oh, yeah. Totally homophobic. And so, I mean, it takes him a few minutes to convince them that he's not just being closeted, that he really isn't gay. It's kind of funny. But, so, I mean, right there, it's like, how do you know?
Yeah.
I mean, even in the coffee house, it was wrong. But, so obviously this guy is really popular and successful. He's the president of a fraternity.
Correct.
And he does not want people to know that he's gay.
And that's his choice. I don't think anyone should have to be in the closet, but it's your choice to do that.
Right. Now, you would think that, but Steve has a whole other idea. He's I'm so disappointed in him in this episode. He's actually, talking to Brandon about whether or not he should keep it a secret or whether he should tell the fraternity brothers, because don't they have a right to know?
That he's gay?
Yeah. They live with him. That's what he's saying. They live with him, and, they should know. Like, what, is he going to crawl in your bed at night?
Yeah, that's what Ian Ziering needs to worry about, is that gay men are going to climb all over him. He's lucky that they wrote that he has a girlfriend in the show.
Right? So, he, now they're, okay. Now we're going to go over to Donna. Donna is, like all the other girls, running around begging people to be in this calendar. And literally begging, guys. Nobody wants to do it. I think I would be flattered. Wouldn't you? I mean, if somebody wanted you to be in an underwear calendar?
Sure.
I don't know.
I don't know that I would do it, but I would be flattered to be asked. If Tori Spelling was on her knees in front of me,
I don't like this image.
Begging me to be in a calendar, then no, Tori Spelling is. She's not. I don't find her attractive.
Well, even on her knees. I mean, she does have a pretty big mouth.
She has a big nose too. I don't know that she could get. Well, actually, that would imply that I was small.
Right.
I'm not going to go there. Anyway, so let's keep it clean. Would I be flattered? Yeah, I'd be flattered to ask. Would I do it? I don't know. What do you think? Should I do it? If they asked me?
If we're together, no.
Okay. Well, then I guess I can't do it.
Okay. So, she asks this huge, tall basketball player guy. And, I guess...
Played by... You don't know, do you?
Omar...
Sharif.
What?
It's not Omar Sharif. Omar Sharif's a legendary actor from, the 50s.
Epps?
Is that who it is?
Omar Epps?
I didn't think... No.
No?
No, he was in Major League 2 that we talked about last week. It's the guy who was... He's been in...
By the way, you're letting everyone know now that you actually watched the show with me. He watched it with me, guys. Okay.
I watched part of it. I did not see the whole episode.
You loved it.
But he has been in some movies and TV shows, and I can't think of where I've seen him. Was he on... I want to say he was on Amen or one of those shows.
I don't know. I didn't recognize him from anywhere.
But I can't... I know him. Oh, wait. No. Yes, that's who he was.
No, yes.
He was from the Ghostbusters.
What?
Yeah, wasn't that the guy from the Ghostbusters? The guy that played
Oh my god.
Ernie
you're
Hudson.
Right.
Ernie Hudson from the Ghostbusters. That's who it was.
That's so weird because in the Ghostbusters he played a middle-aged man.
Yeah, and he's playing a college guy.
Right.
Because black don't crack, everyone.
That's true.
But yeah, he kind of pulls it off, I guess, as a... He looks old to be a college student.
Yeah.
I will say that. But yeah, it's Ernie Hudson. I knew him.
Okay. So, and then she makes, of course, the innuendo that, you know, big, tall, black guy is going to have a big...
Right. She does?
Yes.
I didn't see this part.
That's how starts off by saying, well, you know, you'll be the best endowed guy there or something, like best looking. I don't remember.
Because you're black?
Right. Well, she didn't say it that way, but yeah, I mean, that was the implication. It's like, you know that you've got nothing to worry about. You're going to be with all these other guys. And...
all these white guys with tiny dicks.
And he's like, yeah, you're right, but I still don't know. So
he agrees?
No.
He perpetuates the stereotype?
He didn't agree. Oh, you mean agree with yeah, I mean, he did agree with that. But he says the only way he'll do it is she goes on a date with him.
Oh, okay.
Now, this is immediately following her being dissed by her boyfriend in their own home.
Okay.
So, you know, she says, well, you know, I have a boyfriend. You know, and she's like, you've got to be kidding. And he's like, oh, yeah, I was just joking. And, but she ends up actually agreeing.
Okay.
As friends.
To go on a date as friends.
Right.
That always works out.
So, then, now all these guys are getting together to do the calendar. And Steve, the complete asshole that he is, they start teasing him and saying he's gay. Just randomly, because why do guys do that, by the way? Yeah, speak to that.
Why do guys tease each other about being gay? I don't know.
I mean, they're all in their underwear, getting ready to have their pictures taken, and they're like, oh, nice set of underpants you picked out there. And it's like all of you are in the same frickin' boat.
I think it's fear, probably. No one wants anyone to think that they're gay.
Why? Why does it matter so much? I mean, it matters so much more to guys than girls. Like, I don't care if somebody thinks I'm a lesbian. Because
just I believe it's very stereotypical. I am not like this, just to let everyone know. But because I don't care. As far as I'm concerned, whoever you sleep with, I don't care. It's none of my business. I don't care if you sleep with a girl, a guy. Doesn't
Donkey.
matter. Doesn't matter to me. We need to be careful when we start equating homosexuality to bestiality.
Well, no, I mean, just when you say you don't care, I don't know that. I'm sorry.
What you do behind closed doors is none of my business, and I don't care. That's my point of view. Right. I look at people as far as that goes. I look at people as just, are you a nice person? That's all I care about is how you present yourself and how you treat other people.
Right. I mean, what you do behind closed doors, unless it's with me, doesn't affect me, so why should I care?
Correct. But anyway, so I think that there are stereotypes of gay men being less than men, being sissies, being, things like that.
Okay.
And I think that guys with the testosterone, especially around that age in college, they have this idea of, I don't want to be labeled as less than a man. Okay. I'm a man kind of thing. And I think that's what it is. And so I think the reason that they tease each other about that is, one, it's an easy thing to tease somebody about. And two, it's a fear thing. where
Right.
it's like, I don't want to be labeled this. It's projection.
Right.
Kind of, And I think you will find that sometimes the ones that do it the hardest actually are gay.
Right.
You can kind of tell when it goes from lighthearted jibes to full-on psychological problems. And those are the ones that I always have a like, do you have some thoughts that you are afraid of?
Right.
That you're projecting on everyone else at this point? So yeah, I think that's a big part of the reason why. And I think men have a tendency to not see, we're conditioned to suppress anything that is sort of sweet and cuddly and those kind of
but I like your cuddly.
those kind of emotions, we're like if you see a puppy, you can't be like, oh, it's a cute puppy, it's stuff like that, because one of your friends is gonna be like, oh, fag, that's how it will go. So if anyone shows any kind, like if a guy shows emotion at all to another guy, a lot of times that's how it's met. It's met with get out of here, queer, stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a weird psychological thing, but guys suppress. A lot of guys do. I mean, it's changing. It's the 90s. It's changing now, but that's, for the longest time, that's what we've been conditioned to do, is repress all those emotions.
Sounds like it's hard to be a guy.
It can be.
I mean,
I think it's hard to be a girl too. I think
yeah,
it's,
in different ways.
I think it's hard. It's just hard to be a person.
Right? So they're all making fun of him, and he says, oh, you guys should be looking closer to home or something like that. You're looking at the wrong guy, and ends up telling them. He ends up outing their president.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's when the episode takes a really dark turn. First of all, they all walk out of this camera shoot. So they're not even doing the calendar now. Why? Because one of them's gay.
Okay.
It's so dumb.
Well, they don't want them to see them in just their underwear.
I guess. And
because every gay man that sees a guy in his underwear just starts salivating.
Right?
That's they're animals. That's the thought process.
So yeah, and then Steve tells him, like, they run into each other because he's coming to come do the shoot, and he tells him what he did, and of course he's pissed. I mean, who wouldn't be?
Yeah,
he's
because
like, you ruined my life,
violated his trust, and let out a secret about him that he didn't want revealed to everybody, and yeah, that's terrible.
And apparently. And again, I haven't been watching for a while, so I missed out on this, but there was something where, like, Steve was in trouble, and they were talking about kicking him out, and this guy had stood up for him.
Okay.
So now he's caused him all this problem.
Real nice, Ian Ziering.
Right.
You have a horrible name, an ugly face, and apparently an ugly
You're
personality.
So mean. God.
If this tape ever gets to Ian Ziering, I think that he'll just send us an envelope of tears.
You're terrible. Yeah, and then, like, Steve gets home and sees what they've done to this poor guy.
Mm-hmm. What'd they do to him?
They painted his room pink.
Oh, there you go. See, that's another one of the... That's what I'm talking about with the stereotyping. And by the way, as I said, all that is stereotypes. I have met gay people in my time. We have a city, Royal Oak, that's close to us, that's fairly... homosexual friendly, and I've met many gay men in my time on this earth, I guess. And there are guys, you talk about this gaydar thing, there are guys that they're just guys. Their sexual orientation happens to be that they like other men, but you'd never know. They can be as, quote unquote butch or as stereotypically masculine as anyone else.
Right.
And there are some gay people that, I mean, the stereotypes come from somewhere. So there are some gay people, and I assume that it's genetic, that have the more lilting high voice, or things like that, things that are stereotypical for gay men. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I believe it's probably genetic, because I believe that homosexuality is something you're born with.
Yeah.
So I think that the reason that happens to a certain percentage of the gay population is a genetic thing. Some might be an affectation, sort of like a calling card almost. Like we were talking about, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Some of them might play it up to be like,
because they want you to
yeah,
know.
because they want you to know this is who I am, kind of thing, which also is fine. But so there's a certain percentage that's like that, but there's also a large percentage that you'd never be able to tell because they're just normal dudes.
Right, and that was the case with this guy.
Yeah.
And then, he's packing to leave, and, Steve's trying to, tell him to stay, and he'll support him and stuff, and he basically like, yeah, whatever.
So he's trying to get back in his good graces now because he feels like shit over the stupid thing that he did at a photo shoot.
Yeah. So then, now we're gonna go back to Donna and David's house. This is hilarious, where this guy shows up at their door, and David lets him in, and he's like, "Oh, hey, Kelly's not here, or whatever," and he's like, "Well, I'm here for Donna." What? Can you imagine some guy just showed up to take me on a date?
Yeah, that would be weird.
And then, when he said he was there for Donna first, he's like, "Oh, yeah, about the calendar. I know she wants to talk to you about the calendar." And he brings flowers out from on his back and gives them to her when she walks out. And he's like, "What is happening?"
Right.
So, and the thing is, you can tell he really likes her. And she's just thinking this was all nothing. And I was kind of irritated at this point. They go outside, and she's like, "Oh, thanks so much. That was great. I appreciate it." Like, she's just trying to, like, blow him off now.
To not actually go on the date?
Like, it was all just a joke. And she's like, "I'm sure you have, big plans on a Friday night." And he's like, "Yeah, I do." With, like with her.
Right.
So he ends up taking her bowling. And, he does actually, in the end, talk her into forgiving David.
It's so weird that that's become a thing.
What?
Bowling. But that's a very popular thing to do right now for
bowling.
dates, is to go bowling. Yeah, I know you love bowling. Sometimes we need the bumpers.
Hey,
Carol goes bowling.
I'm no good at it, but I like it. When we go, sometimes, like, I try to get 42 because that's the only way I can win.
Yeah. That's because that's the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
Exactly.
That's a deep cut for any of you that are fans of a book series out there. But anyway, the thing is that I think it's weird. Why do you think bowling is so popular as a recreation now?
Well, as a recreation in general, or for a date?
Both.
Because in general, the reason I like to go is because we go with a big group of people, and I like to socialize while we're doing it. It's just something to do while you're hanging out. For me, sometimes getting up to throw the ball is actually annoying because I'm having a good conversation. Mm-hmm. So, I think that's part of it. It's something that you can do that doesn't require a ton of time and focus with people, so you can still socialize.
Plus, you can smoke and drink in there.
Exactly. No, Mom, if you hear this, we don't do that, but...
We haven't found a bowling alley that doesn't card.
Well, yeah. We don't smoke at all, of course. But then for dating, you get a good look at each other's backside, and, there's the whole let me help you with that. It's the same thing with playing pool.
Yeah, or miniature golf.
Right. Any kind of sports dates, lend themselves to looking and touching.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Okay, so he feels her up at bowling. Oh, that doesn't happen?
Well, we don't actually see them bowling. I'm assuming not, because he does talk her into forgiving David. Yeah,
it's funny, the story that he tells. This is part of the show that I saw. And it's a very well written, like, little monologue that he gives. But he talks about a story about how he would date these girls. He plays basketball for the school. I don't know how many years of eligibility he's burned through at this point. He must have had about 15 red shirts. But yeah, sports people will get that joke. But anyway, so he plays basketball for the school, and he loves basketball so much. And he talks about the girlfriends that he would have. And he said they'd go out on a date, they'd start talking about themselves, he'd start talking about basketball, they'd get bored, and then they'd start to think that basketball was more important to him than they were. And he was saying that what they didn't understand is that basketball was a big part of his life. He loved it, and he wanted to share it with them. And they just felt intimidated that because he loved basketball so much, he couldn't also love them. And that's kind of the gist of his story. I can't remember exactly the wording that he gave, but Tori Spelling, only because it's written in the script, not because she could actually figure this out, figures out that he's talking about her and her boyfriend.
Yeah, because David's, big love is music, and this piano teacher is just an extension of that, which actually comes up between her and David, because, they're working together, and he kind of makes a little bit of a play. And she's like, no, you're in love with my music, not me. Which, I can see how that could happen. So, in the end...
I suppose.
So, in the end, they come back together, and, he struck out, and she didn't do anything with this other guy, so...
Yeah, it's the most heartwarming love story in 90210 history. Boyfriend gets rejected for cheating by another girl. Other girl is clueless that this guy wants to be with her, and they end up together.
Right? It's kind of sad. So, and then to wrap up the other the other main story, so Steve goes to what do they call it? It was like a hearing or something, like...
Yeah, it's a meeting of this fraternity.
Yeah, and
all the quote... I am not going to join a fraternity. I think fraternities are kind of dumb.
Yeah.
To put it...
Agreed.
To put it bluntly. But, anyway, all the quote-unquote brothers get together to meet.
To discuss this guy's sexuality.
Yeah, and whether or not they should kick him out because he's gay.
And they actually bring up the point of they can't kick somebody out for race. And they're like, well, we're not talking about race. We're talking about sexuality. Like, why should that be different?
The one guy, the leader of the mob, is what I'm going to call it, talks about how, we're going to be labeled a gay fraternity. What kind of parties are we going to be able to have? What kind of sororities are we going to get to be able to come over here if we're the gay fraternity? What about our alumni? What are they going to think if we turn into the gay fraternity? They're not going to want to financially support us anymore, and we need the alumni support and all this kind of stuff. Because they've got one gay guy in their fraternity, they're now going to be the gay fraternity. By the way, I don't know if there are gay fraternities out there or not. I will say this, though. I'll bet you in reality, he's not the only gay guy in any fraternity on that campus.
I bet he's not even the only gay guy in that fraternity.
Yeah, depending on how many people are in it.
Well, it looked like a good amount of people in that room.
Yeah.
So, in the end, Steve makes, a big speech and, says, who's with me? I motion for him to stay, and somebody seconds it, and then they all end up clapping and standing up, and the one asshole who is leading it is kind of left looking like a dick.
And he leaves. Yeah. He leaves the fraternity rather than be in the same room with a gay guy.
So he's probably gay. That would
he's
be my
something.
Guess.
I'll tell you that much. He's either gay and afraid of it, or the most horrible asshole that's ever lived.
Yeah.
One of the two. I will say, Ian Ziering, like you said, gives an impassioned speech about race and other members that broke barriers and things like that. I wish it had been written a little bit better. I feel like, in Star Trek, they used to, the Next Generation with Jean-Luc Picard, he would give this, a lot of the episodes would end with, or climax with his speech, and he'd give some impassioned speech about fairness and equality and stuff like that. I'm thinking of a specific episode with the android Data called Measure of a Man, where he talks about slavery and stuff like that. And it's incredibly well written, a very, very good speech. This speech was fine, but I feel like it could have made more of an emotional impact.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could have been better, but again, they're college students, so they're not going to be the most eloquent.
That's true.
But girls, the best part of the episode is at the very end when they finally do the calendar, and you get to see all the guys in their swimsuits and underwear and
boxer shorts and stuff. You
but
can't see anything.
You know what's hilarious?
You can't see any
the
dick
one
prints.
that I want to see the most is wearing a frickin' wetsuit with a surfboard.
Was it Priestley?
No.
Who
Luke
was
Perry.
it? Oh, Luke Perry actually agreed to do it then.
Yeah, in the end he did. Because they needed him because that one guy walked off.
Because Luke Perry is who I was thinking, but that you'd want to see,
Yeah.
but I thought that he wasn't going to do it.
Oh.
I didn't really watch I didn't watch the calendar thing at the end because I'm not gay, guys.
So yeah, I mean, in the end, it was all happy, but it was a pretty emotional hour.
Was Winston from Ghostbusters in it too? I didn't see it.
Yes, he was.
Could you see his dick print?
No, I didn't see any dicks. Jeez.
That's the thing. It's television, so no dick print.
No dick print.
Anyway, speaking of dick prints, we're gonna get on to our main topic of the day, which is a movie that just came out in the theater. It's not doing incredibly well, but it's doing okay. This director I love, but his movies tend to be a little out there and not for quote unquote mainstream audiences. So they don't end up making a ton of money, unfortunately. But I really think that it's John Waters, and I think he's one of the most interesting and innovative filmmakers that I've ever seen. I love his movies. If you haven't seen Pink Flamingos with Divine, that's 1970s, check that out. It is weird and silly, but fantastic. And the film that we saw is called Serial Mom.
Yeah, it was a decent movie.
Yeah, see, I don't think you have the love of John Waters that I do, but it seemed like you still appreciated the movie.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of things that were a little over the top, but I enjoyed it otherwise.
It stars, why can't I think of her name? Kathleen Turner. It stars Kathleen Turner of Romancing the Stone fame.
I love that movie.
And Jessica Rabbit voice fame.
Yep.
And Sam Waterston plays her husband. Ricky Lake, who, I believe she's worked with John Waters before. She's fairly young. She plays her daughter. And a man named Matthew Lillard plays her son. And then there are other people. Suzanne Summers makes a guest appearance
that's funny.
in the film. Patty Hearst is in the movie at some point. But anyway, so the story is that Kathleen Turner is a normal suburban housewife. This movie is a parody on true crime books, true crime TV, and true crime movies.
Yeah, it's definitely does not take itself seriously.
No, not at all, which is great. And in the instances where it gets super bonkers is the best part of the movie. But anyway, so it's a parody of that, and like at the beginning it says this is all based, it goes to very long text of how this is based on a true story, and none of the people that were involved were financially rewarded for this or anything like that, but it goes a long way into that, to making you think that this actually happened. And then on the screen it shows times and days a lot, especially every time there's now this is going to ruin the movie for you, so tune out now and just go to the Blockbuster section of our show if you haven't seen the movie, but everyone else, you can stay. Every time there's a murder, the time appears, things like that. And anyway, so It's very 50s-ish almost, the way that she presents the family and the way she presents herself. Very prim and proper. That they mention, I believe, June Cleaver from Leave It to Beaver at one point. So, that's sort of the aesthetic that we're getting from this. And she, but in reality, she murders people and prank phone calls people using obscene language.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So this slowly sort of ramps up. We see the police show up at the beginning of the movie. They're asking about obscene messages that this woman, Dottie Hinkle, has been getting and obscene phone calls. And she says, oh, that's terrible. The word pussy is used. And she says, I've never even said the P word out loud, let alone writing it down. And, she looks at the birds and she does this thing where she says, look at the birds and how beautiful they are. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee. And so she really presents it, and she's convinced the detectives looking into this. So they leave, and then the family leaves for school and work, and she goes upstairs and makes some obscene phone call to Dottie Hinkle. And it's hilarious. But so we get this idea that she's not quite right.
Right.
The first time she kills somebody is she goes to the PTA meeting, and we see her son's math teacher, and we see the person he's talking to before. And I think this is for context. I think it's context that this teacher is an asshole.
Right.
Just full out, and not just like against her family, but against everyone. Because he tells this one mom that some people just aren't cut out for college.
Yeah, some people aren't college material.
And everything. So when she comes in to talk to him, he says, oh, he's doing really well. He's conscientious. All these good things. How his grades are good and everything. But he likes horror movies too much. And it's distracting him. And it's sick. And he drew this really horrible picture in school of like murder or something like that, and says that she must be doing something wrong and that he needs some kind of psychological evaluation, basically. So she kills him with her car.
Yep. Just runs him over and backs it up.
And she's seen by this girl smoking pot outside the school, standing next to a tree. So anyway, as the movie goes on, she murders other people. We find out why she is doing this to Dottie Hinkle, because Dottie Hinkle took a spot from her at the supermarkets, and she ends up basically going on this murderous spree of people that slight her or her family in some way. There's a reason why and this is part of why I think part of the movie's charm. You kind of root for Kathleen Turner's character, even though she's a horrible murderer.
Right.
And one of the reasons that happens is we get reasons why she does this to everybody. And everyone else is portrayed in sort of a bad light besides her and her family. I don't think it's any surprise that when she kills the couple that are denigrating her husband as a dentist, that we see them eating chicken, and it's disgusting and close, and they're ripping it apart and all this stuff. And I think it's filmed that way to show, like, first of all, we're kind of seeing things through her eyes, so we're getting her point of view on this. But they're disgusting. They're disgusting people. So once they're devalued like that in the movie, killing them doesn't make an impact.
Yeah.
We don't really see their character, and their characters aren't fully realized or fully written on purpose. And I think that's part of the genius of this movie. It allows us to disregard them as fodder and to just identify with her character. I think that's one of the great things that this script does, writing-wise and directing-wise.
I don't know. I mean, I guess, I didn't really connect emotionally with any character in this movie, but it was still disturbing to me.
I mean, one of the guys that she kills, we see him masturbating at one point.
She did, well, yeah, she kills him way after that.
Yeah, she kills him after that, but that's another. We see him debased.
Yeah.
And that's another part of it. The masturbation scene and the sex scene that she has with her husband, and this is after she kills the first person that she kills.
Yeah, apparently it aroused her.
And that's why I believe that we're seeing the origins of her as a killer. I think she was always interested in it before, and she never acted on it before until now. But yeah, it's comical, the sex scene, because she's having sex with her husband, and she's being like super loud. Her children can hear.
Ew.
And then we go.
Just so ew.
But what makes it not ew is we go back into the room, and she's on the bottom, her husband's on the top, and she's bouncing him up like they're on a trampoline. It's completely unrealistic. It's completely unreal, but it makes it funny. It turns something, and that's another thing that John Waters does really well. It turns something that could be kind of gross or make you go, because sometimes people react that way to sexuality, or it could make you aroused. He takes something that could, do one of those two emotions in you, and he makes it funny instead. He makes it humorous instead. And that's the over-the-top nature of it. And when the guy's masturbating later, it's like he's under a blanket, and the blanket's just like, it's going up. It's like, it's no way that actually happens in real life at all.
He must have the biggest dick in the world.
Because it's like his hand is like, has got to be like the 10 feet in front of him, and he's just like the blanket is going way up in the air and everything, and it makes it humorous, and I think that's the point of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what so I'll go through the rest of the plot real quick. So she commits this murder, someone sees her, the police question her, obviously. Then her daughter, I think the second one is the boyfriend, right?
Yeah.
Or the potential boyfriend. Her daughter is stood up by this guy that she likes, that clearly is not into him.
You mean into her? Into her,
yeah, sorry. And he goes to a swap meet that they happen to be at, and Ricky Lake's character sells things at the swap meet with another girl, and ends up buying a Fabergé egg for her that one of the other housewives wanted. Well, sort of wanted. It was overpriced. It was chipped, yeah. But she wants it, so the boyfriend buys it for her and everything. And Ricky Lake's character is all distraught over this. She really liked this guy. So the mom is incensed because her family's been wounded. So she takes a poker that the other housewife bought, and goes into the bathroom where she's witnessed in every single one of these murders, which I think is kind of interesting. But there's some pervert in the bathroom writing on the bathroom wall, and there's a little peephole and thing, and he sees her, and she stabs him through the back, pulls his liver out, which is also comical. The whole way that it's depicted is sort of comical, but he pulls it out, and or she pulls it out, and gets it off of the end of the thing. She's very daintily. After she's committed these murders, she always reverts back to, all this is gross, kind of thing. And so she does that and kills him for her daughter. After that, she kills... Who's next? I'm trying to think who the next person is. I think the next person is the couple, right?
I feel like there's one more, but maybe you're right.
Because the husband called... Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
You're right.
The husband called her husband, who's a dentist, in to work on his tooth, which wasn't that big of a deal, and they were rude to him and all this other stuff. So she ends up going and killing them. They think that she's going to kill Steve, because Steve thinks that she's the killer. So they go to that. That's where the family sees him masturbating.
Yeah, the family at this point suspects, or is pretty darn sure that she is killing people.
Yeah. So she kills those two. Then she's suspected by the police. They all follow her to church.
It's a funny scene.
Yeah, it's like 100 police cars following her in a line to church. She's the main suspect now. She's been witnessed every single time she's killed somebody. And, she ends up, there's like a fight breaks out in church for some reason.
Yeah.
And she ends up escaping. Their son is into it. The son's like, they're calling her Serial Mom, the title of the movie. And the son's like, oh, like he likes horror movies and stuff, so he doesn't care about it. He thinks it's cool. His girlfriend thinks it's cool. She takes her to the video store and hides her in the back. This woman comes in that didn't rewind a tape, and she's arguing about it.
Be kind and rewind, people.
Yeah, she's arguing about it. She shouldn't have to rewind all this stuff. He ends up charging her. He says, I'm going to charge you this time, implying that she does this all the time. She says, here's the money, you son of a psychopath. She's very mean to him. So the mom, hears all this. So she goes and tracks her down to her house and kills her with the leg of lamb that she had been eating.
Yeah, she had a knife. You think she's going to go with the knife?
She decides not to at the last minute and picks up the leg of lamb and beats her to death with that.
So weird.
So Steve, who is the friend who has suspected her, witnesses this. She sees that he witnessed it, so she chases him down to this nightclub.
Oh gosh, the dog.
They're going nuts. But anyway, so she chases him down to this nightclub where this band is singing about death, singing about capital punishment, the electric chair. There's a few capital punishment references in this TV show, or in this movie, I mean. And, they're singing about that gas chamber and, justifiable homicide and all this stuff. And, she's tracking Steve down through this nightclub. He gets on, which is funny because they give the time. It's like 3:27 p.m. on a Sunday, and this band is playing. But whatever. So she goes up on the stage where he is, and she takes the knife. She's going to kill him with the knife. She ends up cutting the cord of some of the lights. The lights fall on him, smash him. He ends up getting lit on fire and starts, burning to death. He's screaming and
yeah, it's way over the top,
gyrating, and the band takes a sip of alcohol and spits it on him, and so he burns more. The people in the audience are they're holding lighters and
chanting Serial Mom.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a really disturbing scene to me.
Well, I think it's supposed to show it's a parody of how all these made-for-TV movies get made about true crimes, and there is a thought process going on now with people that are concerned about this, that we're glorifying serial killers or murderers or other types of criminals, making these made-for-TV movies about them, book deals, things like that, and that's a big part of what this is parodying. So, and it never. The thing is, and John Waters wouldn't really do this, and this is a different way that you could do it and be as effective, I think, but this is not a John Waters style. You could do kind of a lot of like the movie that he did, but also turn to a serious tone.
Yeah.
And kind of like juxtapose and highlight how bad this is and how damaging this is. He never does that because that's not John Waters' style.
Right.
But it's the undercurrent of the whole movie. It's the point of view he's trying to get across, is how glorifying this stuff is not good.
Yeah.
So, anyway, she gets arrested, goes on trial. decides to her lawyer wants to. This whole thing's a farce too, by the way. It's like a made-for-TV movie trial because it is in no way how trials actually work.
Right.
Her lawyer wants to plead guilty by reason of insanity, which he should have discussed with his client before this, but it seems to be news to her. She wants to fire him and represent herself, which she does incredibly successly.
Yep, she should have been a lawyer.
She goes through the whole case and pokes holes in everyone's story. The guy that when she killed the boyfriend with the poker, she points out to the witness how she wanted that Fabergé egg that he bought. It was her poker. All this stuff, basically implying she's the one that killed her.
Right.
When they talk to Dottie Hinkle, she gets her completely unhinged by, it's like Dottie Hinkle is swearing at her and being, she ends up getting held in contempt of court because of this, because she just enrages her so much. She talks to, one of the things is that the woman with the poker doesn't recycle.
Right.
And that's sort of a plot point earlier in the film. She talks to the garbage man and she brings them out some alcohol for them to drink. And she's talking about not Dottie Hinkle, the other one. I can't remember her name. But she says, they're talking about how she doesn't recycle and how it's terrible for the planet and all this stuff. So her big question at the end, after she's implied that she's the one who committed murder, she's like, do you recycle? And she looks like she's sweating bullets and everything. And she finally goes, no, I don't. And everyone in the courtroom's like,
right.
So, it's the worst thing in the world, which, definitely save the planet and everything, but is hilarious. So she pokes holes in that. The pervert that saw her kill the guy, he gets on the stand. She kind of leans down underneath the table, and she pistons her legs back and forth, open and closed, so he can see her vagina. Is what's implied, although we don't actually see it.
Right.
But he's a pervert, so that convinces him to say that he perjured himself, that said that he lied and he never saw her in the bathroom. And I want to say there's another witness too, but I can't remember. But anyway, and throughout all this, we're intercutting to her son and her daughter selling books by this photographer called Serial Mom. They're selling books. They're selling T-shirts. They're selling movie rights. There's all this merchandising going on right around the courtroom and right around all this stuff. There's never been a courtroom case that's quite been this kind of media circus. I don't know if we'll ever see one.
I hope not.
But anyway, so that's kind of how they're doing it. Suzanne Summers comes into the courtroom and distracts everybody with her presence, being a big star, I guess.
Yeah, she was going to play her in the TV movie. That's why she's there. Yes,
correct. So, anyway, she ends up getting off. She ends up getting found not guilty. Even though she's disturbed that juror number 9 continues to wear white shoes after Labor Day. Every single time, every new day, she's got a different pair of white shoes. So, it's a success. It's successful. She kind of slips off because she sees this juror after the trial. Juror's on the phone and she says, "Yeah, we got her off." And she said, "I knew she didn't do it," and we're all excited about it. So she comes up and she says, "You can't wear white shoes after Labor Day." And she says, "No, fashion's changed and everything." And he says, "No, didn't your mother ever tell you can't wear white shoes after Labor Day?" And she picks up the payphone, the cradle, the handle thing, the part you talk into, handset, I guess, and she smashes her in the face with it.
Yeah, she beats her to death.
And she basically, she beats her to death with the phone. This juror that was so excited about letting her off the hook. And so she comes in, everyone says, "Oh my gosh, there's a murder," and stuff. And Suzanne Summers kind of gives her a look because she, a lot of these people didn't think that she actually did it.
Right.
And then the movie ends. Freeze frames and the movie ends. One thing that I think is really good about this movie too is it sort of shows the mundacity and the just mind-numbingness of being a suburban housewife, because that's what she does. And all these slights are sort of they're sort of indicative of this being raised in a strictly traditional kind of home. The white after Labor Day. That's a big, like, we live in the Hamptons kind of, you know what I mean? Like, we're a traditional conservative family. You don't wear white shoes after Labor Day kind of thing, right? So there's that. They go to church. That's a traditional thing that families do on Sunday. The Dottie Hinkle, is someone that she knows from the neighborhood. She slights her by taking this parking spot. It's part of like social nicety. You know what I mean? Like Dottie Hinkle has violated what is a normal social nicety. There's the boyfriend standing up her daughter. There's the PTA meeting, a traditional, standard, conservative thing that parents do. So I think that this is a rebuke of both the sensationalism of these true crime things and of this idea of traditional conservative lifestyle.
Okay.
And that's sort of informed by some of the other stuff that John Waters has done. So, I'm cheating a little there, I guess, by taking his entire oeuvre into account. But if you look at a lot of his movies, I think this one slots perfectly in with it. John Waters is not a traditional person, not a traditionally conservative person. I believe, if I remember correctly from some interviews I've seen of him, he was raised that way, but he's clearly rejected that. Uh-huh. And I think this is another part of that, another clear rejection of that kind of like social conservatism and everything, because it drives people insane. And I think there's a degree of truth to that. So, the son into the horror movies and stuff like that comes across as basically the most normal character in the movie, honestly.
I think the daughter's more normal than he is.
Well, but the daughter's all kind of, she ends up making out with the photographer that wrote the book at the end of the movie and stuff. And I guess she's kind of normal, but she's looking for something, you know what I mean? She doesn't seem settled.
Yeah.
And the son has the girl that he hangs out with all the time. They're either boyfriend, girlfriend, or really good friends. They're boyfriend or girlfriend. It's never really, like, said. Well,
they're making out, so...
They made out at some point?
I thought they did.
I don't remember that. Maybe they did. Either way. He's the one that seems like kind of settled, and he's the one that's into something that's considered quote unquote deviant. Everyone thinks is deviant,
right?
Liking horror movies. So I think
I'm deviant.
So I think that kind of also highlights the repudiation of this conservative type of lifestyle. What did you think? Did you have a favorite part of the movie? Did you have something you wanted to go into about it?
I don't know about like a favorite part necessarily. I mean, it was all odd. It was an odd experience to watch, but it was enjoyable.
What did you think about Kathleen Turner?
I love her.
I thought that she was... I don't know if John Waters could have made this movie without her, to be honest. She was perfect in this role. Like, capturing the like, unhinged energy of when she's killing people, combined with the two faces,
right.
The completely like straight-laced, I'm a normal, and you can always kind of see after that first scene, you can always kind of see that underneath the surface, the way that she plays it, you can always see the madness underneath the surface a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
With the knowledge of what she's capable of. But my God, Kathleen Turner does an absolutely fantastic job in this movie. She plays this movie perfectly. This character, that you could not play this character any better than she plays it. And she's the soul, the heart of the movie. The movie doesn't work without her.
Yeah.
And she carries it. She carries the movie completely. She is absolutely fantastic in this film. Sam Waterston does a good job as her husband. Everyone else is good. Everyone else is very good in the movie. Ricki Lake, I think, also is sort of a standout. She does really well. She gives her character, which could be kind of an underwritten character because she has a charm to her. She gives a lot of, she informs her character a lot with some of her acting choices, and I think she does a really good job as well. And she's a very charming young actress, I think. Matthew Lillard also, I think, does a very good job. Everyone else is, I don't want to say they're just there, because everyone else puts in a very good performance. But, you know, the ones that I would highlight, I think, are Ricky Lake and obviously Kathleen Turner is fantastic in the film.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I think if you've skipped all the parts where we went through the movie and you're back with us now right before our blockbuster pick of the week, then I think this is definitely one you want to go out to the theater and check out. It's a very solid, strong movie. I like it a lot.
Yep.
All right, well, we will end this week as we end all weeks, pretty much, with our, except for the Oscar one, what we did,
right,
with our blockbuster pick of the week. This week, at your Blockbuster store, you will find the 1993 film Cool Runnings, about the Jamaican bobsled team. Carol, I know you are a big fan of Cool Runnings. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Cool Runnings and why people should rent it?
It's just such a freaking cute movie. I love this movie. They're hilarious. And, you know, John Candy's in it, and John Candy is amazing.
The late John Candy,
Yeah.
we talked about that story last month. It was a few weeks ago, I believe. But, yeah, unfortunate there.
But, I mean, it's just fun to watch this Jamaican bobsled team, you know, just transplanted into, you know, the cold and this, just, obviously, I mean, who bobsleds in Jamaica, right? You don't, because there's no snow. So it's just, there's so much comedy.
They wanted to be on a different team, right? Didn't they want to run, I believe?
Well, no, one of them's a runner.
Yeah, and he wanted to be on the Olympics, but he got left off.
Yeah.
So this was a way to get to the Olympics.
Right. So, yeah, and they make it. And it's just, I mean, it's heartwarming.
It's a true story, too.
Yeah, it's a heartwarming story, but it's just very funny.
You know, I didn't see this movie in the theater. We actually rented this movie. But we returned it, so you guys can still rent it if you want to. But Carol saw this in the theater.
Yes. And
she recommended it to me. And I was incredulous. I like John Candy a lot, but I was like, you know, I'm not, this doesn't really turn any dials for me necessarily. But I watched the movie. It's so good. It's a very funny, charming film.
Hey, you dead man.
There's so many things about it. It's very, the guys that play the bobsled team guys are very, very funny. And John Candy obviously was a legend, and he, you know, he does not disappoint in this film. It's a very good movie. It's definitely one that I would recommend that you go out and rent.
Definitely.
Well, that is our show for this week. As always, if you have any feedback, you can put it into my locker. Any money that you want to donate to the show, you can put in Carol's locker. You can find us all the places that you can find us. You know, we will be giving out these tapes again. You know, tomorrow or Monday at school, and you know, like I said, share them with your friends. Send them towns over. You know, send them to your cousins that live out of state. Just
don't send it to Ian Ziering, though. That would be mean.
Send it to Ian Ziering. I want to hear him cry. But just share it with everybody that you can. Tell everybody about our show and how much you love it. And we will see you next week. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.